and welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving straight into something really crucial for businesses right now. Taking the promise of artificial intelligence and actually making it work with the systems they already have.
Yeah, it's a huge challenge, but also, packed with opportunity.
Exactly. And for you, our listeners who want to get a real handle on this stuff without getting bogged down in endless jargon, well, that's what we're here for today.
That's right. Think of this as getting the inside track. Our conversation today is kind of based on the sort of in-depth questions you'd ask someone with real hands-on experience in this field.
Specifically integrating AI into existing enterprise systems.
Exactly. And what's so valuable, I think, is that these questions themselves, they sort of unlock the core challenges and maybe more importantly, some very practical ways to overcome them.
So the mission today, basically, is to come away with a solid understanding of what really matters in AI integration.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're going to explore the key areas someone would probe, when trying to figure out if a candidate actually knows their stuff when it comes to making AI a reality within a business.
And the beauty here, I think, is that each of these areas dives into a sort of make or break aspect of successful AI implementation.
So where do we start, I guess? At the beginning, what have they actually done?
Exactly. I mean, theory is one thing, but seeing how someone has navigated the complexities of a real-world project, that speaks volumes, right?
Typically.
So the first question cuts right to the chase. Tell me about a specific project where you integrated an AI solution into an existing enterprise system. What were you trying to achieve, and how did you actually go about the integration? It's all about that real-world application.
Okay, and we've got a great example here. Let's picture a big retail company. They're noticing their online customer engagement. It's dropping.
Okay.
Yeah. Not good at all. So their goal was to make the online experience much more personal. The candidate we're sort of notionally looking at led a team that built a recommendation engine.
Okay, standard use case, but the integration is key.
Right. And here's where it gets interesting. They used a deep learning model to figure out what recommendations to show customers. Fine. But then they had to connect that new AI brain to their current CRM, that's customer relationship management, and their e-commerce platforms.
Which can be messy. Existing systems, legacy tech, maybe.
Exactly. Now, they mentioned using RESTful APIs for this connection. RESTful APIs. That sounds like the different systems talk to each other, doesn't it?
Precisely. Think of APIs as like digital messengers. They let different software systems exchange information in a structured way.
Okay.
So in this case, the RESTful APIs provided a standard method for the recommendation engine to, send its suggestions to the website and for the website to understand and display them properly. What's fascinating about this example, though, is the sheer number of pieces that had to come together. You had the AI model itself, the connection to the customer data in the CRM, the integration with the e-commerce platform.
A lot of moving parts.
Definitely. And as we heard, it wasn't just data scientists involved, it was a cross-functional team, which really highlights that AI integration. It touches so many parts of a business.
And the results they mentioned.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
A 20% jump in engagement and a 15% rise in conversion rates, that shows real impact. Plus, it set the stage for more AI projects down the line, which is always, a positive sign.
That makes sense.
And a key insight there wasn't just the model's accuracy, but how they handled new users. The cold start problem, people with no purchase history.
Right. What do you recommend to someone who just showed up?
Exactly. They apparently experimented with a hybrid approach. So combining collaborative filtering, like looking at what similar users liked with content-based stuff based on what the new user was actually browsing right then, that combination, crucial.
Interesting. So, okay, we've seen an AI solution in action. Now, what about the blueprint? How do you actually design these integrations?
Yeah, the architecture.
Right. The next key question is, what are the crucial architectural considerations when you're adding AI into an existing business system? How do you make sure it plays nicely with the older tech that's already there? This really gets into the nitty-gritty, doesn't it?
It really does. This is where the practical challenges really emerge. You can have the most amazing, innovative AI, but if it can't actually communicate with the rest of your infrastructure, it's just stuck in its own silo.
Useless, basically.
Pretty much. The example we have here is a fraud detection system implemented in a financial services company.
Okay, high stakes there.
Absolutely. The big challenge was introducing AI that could spot fraudulent activity in real time, but without causing any instability in their existing and likely very sensitive legacy systems. You can't have the fraud system crashing the bank.
No. Definitely not. And the way they tackled this involves something called a microservices-based architecture. Now, for anyone who hasn't heard that term, instead of one giant software program, it's like having a team of specialists, right?
Hmm.
Each handling a specific task.
That's a great analogy. Yeah. By breaking down the fraud detection system into these smaller independent services, the AI component could be developed and, importantly, deployed somewhat separately from the core banking systems.
Ah, okay. Less risky.
Much less risky. It communicated through standardized APIs, those digital messengers again, which meant there were clear, well-defined ways for the AI to talk to the legacy systems without directly messing with them.
Got it.
They also used containerization, which is like putting each microservice in its own little self-contained package, makes it easier to deploy, easier to manage without affecting other parts of the system.
Like a Tupperware for software.
Huh. Sort of, yeah.
What?
A very sophisticated Tupperware. And this whole approach significantly reduced the risk of the new AI interfering with the existing infrastructure.
And the outcome.
Real-time fraud alerts, a 25% improvement in accuracy, and importantly, high reliability. It shows how effective this kind of architectural thinking can be. You can integrate cutting-edge AI with established systems successfully.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, AI is only as good as the information it learns from, right?
Oh, absolutely critical.
That brings us to the vital area of data. Data integration and quality assurance. The question here is, when you're integrating AI models with the data systems a company already has, how do you ensure the data is good quality? How do you maintain its integrity?
Yeah.
Can you walk me through your process for preparing, cleaning, validating data?
Yes, and this is so fundamental. The saying, garbage in, garbage out, is just incredibly relevant when it comes to AI.
For sure.
If the data you're feeding your models is inaccurate or inconsistent or just plain messy, the insights and predictions you get back will be equally flawed. Simple as that.
So the example project here.
It involves a large logistics company. They were using AI to optimize their delivery routes. Makes sense. Their main challenge, though, was that their data came from all over the place. Different sources, wasn't always in the same format, quality was variable. You get the picture.
A data swamp, basically.
Pretty much. So just plugging in the AI wasn't going to cut it. A significant effort had to go into just making sense of the data first.
What did that involve?
Well, using tools like Python and SQL specialized languages for working with data to check for errors, look for inconsistencies, clean things up.
Okay.
They also set up automated ETL pipelines. ETL stands for extract, transform, load. These are processes that automatically pull data from different sources, whip it in to shape the transform part, and then load it into the AI system.
Automating the cleanup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to make sure the data stayed good, they implemented regular audits and even created real-time dashboards just to monitor the health of their data.
Like having a dedicated quality control team for your information. That's smart.
It really is. And the impact was significant. They saw a jump in data accuracy from around 70% up to 95%, which directly led to more efficient route planning, and they calculated a 10% reduction in delivery times. It just emphasizes that data quality isn't some minor technical detail. It's absolutely fundamental for any successful AI implementation.
Okay, so the AI is integrated, it's getting good data, good start. But what happens when the system gets really busy? Like Black Friday busy.
Ah, yes. Scalability and performance optimization. Crucial stuff.
The question here is, when you're deploying AI solutions in a large business environment, how do you handle the challenges of scaling? What strategies do you use to make sure the system performs well, even when the workload increases significantly? Because these AI systems need to handle real-world usage, right, which could have huge peaks and valleys.
Precisely. An AI system might hum along perfectly well with a small amount of data or a few users, but when you roll it out across a large enterprise, thousands of users, massive data volumes performance can suddenly become a major bottleneck.
Yeah, things can grind to a halt.
Exactly. Our example here is an AI-powered search algorithm used by a global e-commerce company. Initially, it worked okay, but it really struggled to keep up during periods of high traffic, like you mentioned Black Friday or big sales events.
So what did they do?
Well, the team had to rethink how the system was built to handle this increased demand. They actually moved towards that microservices design again.
The specialist team idea again.
Yeah, because it allows them to scale individual components as needed. If search is busy, scale the search microservice, not the whole monolith. They also implemented distributed computing.
Sharing the load across multiple computers.
Exactly, spreading the work out.
Yeah.
and put in load balancing to automatically distribute traffic evenly across those resources.
Okay.
They even conducted stress tests, basically hammering the system intentionally to find weaknesses before they caused real problems during peak times.
Like an athlete preparing for a big competition, you push your limits in training.
That's a good way to put it. And the results were impressive. The re-engineered search system could apparently handle a 300% surge in peak traffic without any noticeable performance drop.
Wow, that's huge.
That level of robustness is essential for any mission-critical AI application in an enterprise setting. It's about designing not just for today's needs, but for future growth and those unexpected spikes in demand.
Right, planning ahead. Now, once an AI system is up and running, it's not like you just walk away, is it? You need to update it, improve it, fix things.
Absolutely, it's an ongoing process.
That's where continuous integration and deployment, or CI/CD, comes in. The question, what's your experience with using CI/CD pipelines for AI and machine learning projects? How do you ensure updates are smooth and, crucially, that you can roll back if something goes wrong?
Yeah, rollback is key. AI models aren't static. They're constantly learning, evolving as they see new data. As business needs change, you need a slick way to update them.
So the example here is,
A mid-sized tech company, they were deploying updates to their AI systems manually, which, as you can imagine, was slow, error-prone, probably involved some late nights.
sounds painful.
Yeah. So they implemented a CI/CD pipeline specifically tailored for AI. This involved automating the testing and deployment of new model versions. They used tools like Jenkins and Docker.
Okay.
They also integrated unit tests that specifically check the performance of the AI models themselves, and importantly, establish rollback strategies, those safety nets that let them quickly revert to a previous working version if a new update causes problems.
Like an automatic update system with a built-in emergency undo button.
Exactly. And the benefits were really clear. A big reduction in the time it took to deploy updates, they could release new model versions much more often, and they minimized downtime during these updates. That agility is crucial for keeping AI solutions effective and aligned with the business over the long term.
Makes sense. Of course, with all this data flying around and these powerful AI systems making decisions, we have to talk about security, privacy, and compliance.
Oh, absolutely non-negotiable, especially in enterprise settings.
Right. The question is, in a business setting, how do you address security, privacy concerns, and the need to comply with regulations when you're implementing AI?
Yeah.
Could you give an example of mitigating risks or addressing compliance challenges? Because messing this up is, well, catastrophic.
Totally. Data breaches, failing to comply with regulations like GDPR or IPA, the consequences can be severe. Legal trouble, huge fines, reputational damage.
So the example.
It involves an AI-based tool used by a healthcare provider to gain customer insights. And in healthcare, as you know, data privacy regulations are incredibly strict.
IPA, yeah.
Very serious.
Absolutely. So ensuring compliance was a massive focus. It involved doing thorough risk assessments up front to spot potential vulnerabilities.
Okay. Encrypting data, both when it's moving between systems in transit and when it's just sitting there at rest. Implementing really strict access control so only the right people could see specific data. And crucially, working hand in glove with their legal and compliance teams to make sure they were ticking all the regulatory boxes like IPA.
So building security and privacy in from the start, not just adding it on later.
Precisely. It has to be foundational. And the successful outcome here, achieving full compliance, experiencing zero security breaches, getting positive feedback during regulatory audits, it demonstrates that you can harness AI's power while upholding the highest standards. It just requires a proactive, multi-layered approach.
Okay, we've got our secure, compliant AI deployed. Now, how do we make sure it actually keeps working well over time? Because the models can degrade, right?
They certainly can. That leads us to monitoring, maintenance, and model governance.
Right. The question, once an AI model is live, what are your strategies for continuous monitoring, evaluating its performance, and managing something called model drift? How do you put governance practices in place? Because like you said, the world changes, and the AI needs to keep up.
That's exactly it. Model drift is a real phenomenon. The patterns the model learned from initially might change in the real world, making its predictions less accurate over time. Just like any complex machine, AI models need regular upkeep.
So, the example project for this.
It's a project focused on predicting customer churn for a telecom company. Figuring out which customers are likely to leave.
Yeah, valuable insight for them.
Very. But the big concern was that customer behavior patterns would inevitably change over time, causing the model's predictions to become less reliable.
So what was the plan?
They put in place a system for continuous monitoring. This included a real-time dashboard tracking key performance metrics of the model like its accuracy. They scheduled regular retraining of the model using the latest customer data.
Okay, keeping it fresh.
Exactly, and they set performance benchmarks. If the model's accuracy dropped below a certain level, it triggered an alert.
Proactive checks.
They even incorporated feedback loops from the business teams who were actually using the predictions. That human insight helped refine the model further. It's like giving your AI model regular checkups and tune-ups.
And did it work?
Yeah, this proactive approach paid off. They managed to keep the model's accuracy within a very tight range, like a 5% variance, and achieved a measurable reduction in customer churn, around 8%. It really highlights that deploying the model is just step one. Ongoing monitoring and maintenance are crucial for its continued success.
Okay, let's get into the toolbox a bit. What specific tools and technologies are typically used in these AI integration projects?
Yeah, the tech stack.
The question is, what tools, frameworks, or platforms have you used for implementing AI in a business setting? Why did you choose those particular technologies, and how do they help with integrating with the existing systems? It's about the practical building blocks.
Right. This is where the specific technical know-how really comes into play. The example we have here mentions selecting TensorFlow for building the deep learning models.
Okay, common one.
Very common, very powerful. Apache Spark for processing large data sets in a distributed way.
Good for big data.
Exactly. And Kubernetes for managing and scaling the AI applications once they were deployed in those containers we talked about earlier.
The sophisticated Tupperware manager.
Yes. And the reasons behind these choices are key. TensorFlow is robust for ML. Spark handles big data efficiently across many machines. Kubernetes simplifies deploying and managing containerized apps at scale.
Makes sense.
But importantly, these tools also needed to play nice with the company's existing infrastructure, which included things like SQL databases and maybe older legacy systems they accessed through APIs.
So it's not just about picking the cool new thing.
Not at all. It's about choosing the right tools for the specific job and ensuring they fit into the existing technical landscape. It's a strategic decision, really, based on performance needs, scalability requirements, integration capabilities.
And the result in this case?
Faster development and deployment cycles, about 35% faster, apparently, seamless integration, and an AI solution that could scale easily.
Now, AI projects, as you mentioned earlier, they're rarely solo efforts, are they? They usually involve lots of different teams working together.
Oh, absolutely. Collaboration is essential.
So the question is, how do you work with cross-functional teams, IT, business analysts, data scientists, maybe others, during the integration process? Can you share an example where effective teamwork was key? Because getting everyone on the same page must be vital for these complex projects.
It's critical. Successful AI integration needs that blend of different skills and perspectives. The example we have is the development of a predictive maintenance system for a manufacturing company, predicting when machines might fail.
Okay, that involves different kinds of expertise.
Definitely. You needed engineers who understood the machinery inside out, IT specialists managing the infrastructure and data feeds, and data scientists building the actual prediction models.
So how did they make that collaboration work? What were the mechanisms?
Well, it sounds like they relied on good communication and clear workflows. Things like holding regular Scrum meetings, short, frequent updates, using shared project dashboards so everyone could see progress.
Transparency.
Yeah, conducting cross-departmental workshops to make sure everyone understood the goals and the tech involved, and maintaining really clear documentation and feedback channels. It's about actively breaking down those organizational silos.
Fostering a shared understanding.
Exactly. And the outcome was pretty positive. Project completed ahead of schedule, and it resulted in a significant 15% reduction in equipment downtime. It really shows how crucial that effective teamwork is.
Of course, no project is ever completely smooth sailing, is it? There are always unexpected hurdles.
Always. Murphy's Law definitely applies to tech projects.
So the question is, can you describe a significant challenge you faced during an AI integration project and how you overcame it? What did you learn? This really probes those problem-solving skills.
Yeah, these questions are very revealing. They show practical experience and the ability to learn from setbacks. The example here describes encountering unexpected data silos during an AI project at a financial institution.
Data silos. I mean, data was stuck in different places, hard to get at.
Exactly. Crucial data needed for training the AI models was scattered across different systems, difficult to access, hard to combine, a classic enterprise problem.
So how do they tackle that fragmentation? Sounds messy.
It involved, first, a thorough investigation, like a data audit, to map out the company's data landscape, find all the sources, figure out where things were stored.
Detective work.
Pretty much. Then they worked with the database teams to create unified data schemas, essentially, a common language or structure for the data. And they implemented those ETL processes again to bring the data together into a central place in a consistent format.
Okay, cleaning it up and centralizing it.
Right. And they also put in regular checks and validation processes to try and prevent new silos from popping up again in the future.
Fixing the problem and trying to prevent recurrence. Smart.
And the result was a significant improvement in the accuracy of their AI models. They mentioned an 18% increase and, just as importantly, a much more robust and reliable data foundation for future AI work. It underscores how vital it is to be able to identify and effectively fix those real-world technical roadblocks.
Ultimately, businesses invest in AI for a reason, right? To achieve tangible results. So measuring impact and return on investment, ROI, that's essential.
Absolutely. You have to show the value.
The question, how do you measure the success and ROI of an AI implementation? What key performance indicators, KPIs, or metrics do you typically focus on? It's all about demonstrating the business value.
Exactly. AI projects, especially big ones, need to clearly benefit the business. Otherwise, why do them? The example here is an AI-powered sales forecast tool for a retail chain.
Okay. And the leadership team wanted proof it was working.
Naturally, they wanted to see if the investment was actually making a difference to the bottom line. So the team defined specific, measurable metrics, KPIs. Things like the accuracy of the sales forecasts compared to previous methods, the reduction in time it took to generate those forecasts, and of course, the actual changes in revenue that could be reasonably attributed to better forecasting.
Okay. Concrete business metrics.
Yes. They also built dashboards to track these KPIs in real time and compare the AI-driven forecasts against historical data. It provided a clear, data-driven picture of the tool's impact. It's about speaking the language of business, showing how AI translates into improvements executives care about.
And the results in this case. Did it justify the investment?
It seems so. They reported a 12% improvement in forecast accuracy and, more importantly, a 7% increase in overall revenue. That clearly demonstrated a strong ROI.
Which makes getting funding for the next AI project much easier, I imagine.
Exactly. That ability to quantify the benefits is absolutely vital for securing ongoing support and funding within an organization.
Now, introducing AI isn't just about the tech itself. It also really impacts the people, doesn't it? The employees who have to use it.
Oh, hugely. The human element is critical.
So the question is, what strategies have you used to manage change and encourage user adoption when you're introducing AI technologies in an enterprise environment? Because even the best AI won't deliver results if people don't understand it, or maybe don't trust it, or just won't use it.
That's such an important point. Often, the success or failure of a new technology hinges on how well the human side of the change is managed. Our example here is the deployment of an AI-powered customer service chatbot.
Oh, okay. I can see how that might cause some anxiety.
Definitely. There was initial concern, apparently, among both the customer service staff and maybe even customers about interacting with a bot instead of a person.
So how do they handle that? What was the change management approach?
They implemented a pretty comprehensive plan. It included providing thorough training sessions for the customer service staff, helping them understand how the chatbot worked, how it would actually assist them, not replace them, maybe.
Okay, addressing fears.
Yeah. Creating user-friendly documentation for both staff and customers. Running a pilot program first to get early feedback and iron out kinks. Setting up a dedicated support line for any questions or issues that came up. And holding regular Q&A sessions to keep communication open.
So really focusing on support and communication.
Yeah.
Making the transition smoother.
Exactly. Making it as comfortable as possible. And the outcome was positive. They achieved a 90% adoption rate among the staff, and interestingly, a 20% increase in customer satisfaction with the support process.
Wow, so it actually improved things.
It did. It clearly demonstrates that a well-thought-out approach to change management is essential for realizing the full potential of AI in a business setting. You can't just throw technology over the wall.
Looking ahead now, the field of AI is just moving incredibly fast, isn't it? Things change constantly.
Relentlessly. It's hard to keep up sometimes.
So the question of continuous learning is crucial. How do you stay up to date with the latest trends and best practices in AI and enterprise integration? Can you give examples of how emerging tech has influenced your work? It's about staying relevant in a super dynamic field.
Yeah, in a field moving this fast, a commitment to continuous learning isn't just nice to have, it's, well, essential. You have to keep learning.
What does that look like in practice?
Our example highlights the importance of actively engaging in things like attending industry conferences, taking relevant online courses. There are so many good ones now, participating in professional networks, online communities, and also fostering a culture of internal knowledge sharing within teams, learning from each other.
Right, sharing the load of staying current.
Exactly. And this dedication, it not only ensures that the AI solutions being implemented are, reasonably cutting edge and effective, but it can also spark ideas for innovative upgrades or inspire completely new projects that leverage the latest advancements. It's about fostering that mindset of continuous improvement and exploration.
Finally, and this feels like maybe the most important overarching point, AI initiatives can't just exist in a vacuum, can they? They need to be tightly aligned with what the business is actually trying to achieve.
Absolutely fundamental. Otherwise, it's just technology for technology's sake.
So the question is, how do you ensure that the AI solutions you implement are actually in line with an enterprise's broader business objectives and strategies, making sure AI is a tool serving the core goals?
Yeah, this requires really close collaboration with stakeholders right across the business, understanding their objectives, their pain points, and then translating those into specific technical requirements for the AI solutions.
So the example here.
It involves a consumer goods company. They were focused on two main things: streamlining their supply chain operations and enhancing customer engagement. Big, common goals.
Okay.
The AI solutions they implemented were specifically designed to address those, automating parts of the supply chain, maybe predicting demand better, and using AI to personalize their marketing efforts more effectively.
And how did they ensure alignment?
Through regular reviews with executive leadership, making sure that these AI initiatives were demonstrably contributing to those overarching business goals. It's about constantly connecting the tech back to the business strategy, seeing the big picture.
Making sure AI is a key driver in achieving that bigger picture.
Precisely. And the results showed it worked. A 10% reduction in operational costs, a 25% increase in targeted customer engagement. That clearly demonstrates significant strategic business value. It's not about doing AI, it's about strategically leveraging AI capabilities to achieve meaningful, measurable business outcomes.
So as we bring this deep dive to a close, the key takeaway seems really clear. Successfully integrating artificial intelligence into the complex landscape of existing enterprise systems.
Well, it's a multifaceted undertaking, isn't it?
It really is. No single silver bullet.
It demands not just deep technical expertise, but also that strategic thinking we just talked about, exceptional communication skills, collaboration, and a relentless focus on delivering tangible business value.
And hopefully, by exploring these key considerations, which we framed as insightful interview questions, you, our listeners, now have a much clearer lens, a better framework perhaps, for understanding the critical elements of making AI actually work in the real world of business.
Absolutely. And it really makes you think, doesn't it? When you consider the potential for AI within your own organization, or maybe in the businesses you follow or invest in, what do you now recognize as perhaps the biggest hurdle, the main roadblock to successful integration?
Yeah. Which of these challenges resonates most?
Exactly. And looking back at the examples we've discussed today, which of those approaches or solutions, the microservices, the data cleaning pipelines, the change management strategies, which might offer potential frameworks for tackling those specific challenges you see?
Is it the data quality? Is it the security concerns? Is it getting people on board?
Right.
Or just aligning it all with the bigger strategy?
Right. Which of these many aspects of AI integration really hits home based on the challenges you're seeing or maybe anticipating in this rapidly evolving field? It's definitely a lot to consider.
It is.
But hopefully, this deep dive has provided, a solid and practical foundation to build upon as you navigate these complexities yourself.